Assured me everything would go smoothly.
Everything is going smoothly, I assure you.
Our merchandise is not where it's supposed to be.
It's right down there, Mr. Pritchett.
John Travolta is a terrorist on the trail of a runaway nuclear weapon in Broken Arrow, one of 5 new movies we'll review this week on Siskel and Ebert. Also coming up, Chris Farley as the black sheep of the family. Uma Thurman and Mira Sorvino play beautiful girls. And a farewell to a man who just loves singing in the rain. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is Broken Arrow, and this is an action picture that's simply a lot of fun most of the way, even though it doesn't add up to much. Not a ringing endorsement, but I liked it. John Travolta stars as a top Air Force pilot who, unbeknownst to his co-pilot, Christian Slater, and their commanding officer, has masterminded a plot to hijack and ransom a couple of thermonuclear bombs that are aboard the stealth bomber he's assigned to take for a test ride in the Utah desert.
Palmdale's concerned about low-level gamma and X-ray diffusion screwing up the peripherals. They want to send up a couple on a pre-dawn run. See if anything glows.
61s?
Big ones. 83s.
Phew. Crowd pleasers.
After scuttling the plane and seemingly getting rid of Slater, Travolta meets with the money man behind the hijacking. He's played by Bob Gunton.
Look, Mr. Pritchett, I will deliver the weapons to the destination. But I can't depend, and I can't guarantee pay.
What if they don't?
Well, if they don't, the Southwest will be a quiet neighborhood for about 10,000 years.
Of course, Slater has survived the plane crash, and he joins forces with a pretty Utah Park ranger, Samantha Mathis, to try to defeat Travolta and his crew. This is a typical high-energy scene directed by Hong Kong filmmaker John Woo in his second Hollywood feature. And here's more action as the fight between Slater and Travolta is complicated by the presence of the bombs.
Would you mind not shooting at the thermonuclear weapons?
Instead of a constantly intriguing story, Broken Arrow offers us colorful characters, Travolta and his crew, against Slater and Mathis. The action gets a little long in the tooth, I think, in a mine shaft and then later on a train, but director John Woo keeps things moving with enough fresh visuals to hold our attention. On that basis, I like Broken Arrow.
I didn't like it, Gene. In fact, I was quite disappointed in it, and you put your finger on some of the things I didn't like. It goes on too long.
Yes.
It's just one special effect after another, and it's boring because the story is not interesting, and the characters are not sharply drawn, and Travolta does not make a convincing villain.
He's a sweet guy.
He is.
And that's why he's a star. It doesn't work. You know, as you say this, I don't think I've ever done this on this show in 20 years, but I'm going to twist my thumb. I'm going to go just like this. Because...
I talked you into it?
Well, listen, it was a half-hearted endorsement.
It was.
Right at the top. I don't normally say half-hearted. And what am I really defending here? I'm defending some colorful action scenes, and they are colorful action scenes. And the rotor blade, I thought, you know, this is a lot of fun that we just saw. But really, I can't recommend it.
It's not up there. There is a craft of action pictures that's up in this level. This movie just doesn't quite.
I'm changing my opinion now. Do me one. No,
I'm amazed.
I know you're amazed. Do me one favor.
Yeah.
Look in the camera and say I was wrong about Cop and a Half. It wasn't a very good movie. Burt Reynolds.
No, I won't do that.
What?
No, I won't do that. Listen, I saw things in Cop and a Half that I admired.
That no one else did.
Okay, well, in any event, you've done a very good thing, and I've also done a good thing, too, by sticking to my guns. Okay, next movie, Cop and a Half. And our next movie is Black Sheep, one of those films that just makes your heart sink, actually, if you love the movies, because you know that people are spending their good money to see it, and that makes you feel bad because they're wasting their time. This is not only one of the worst comedies I've ever seen, but one of the least ambitious. It doesn't even feel like they're trying to make a good movie. The movie stars Chris Farley as a loose cannon who's the younger brother of a gubernatorial candidate, and David Spade is the campaign worker assigned to keep Farley out of trouble.
Help! Help, please!
Spade is told it will help if he removes Farley to a remote cabin in the boondocks where he can't get into trouble, but Farley can get into trouble anywhere.
Get this thing off me! What the hell are you now?
Instead of thinking of comic situations involving people and dialogue, the movie thinks it would be funny if a big boulder knocks over their cabin.
This place is trashed.
Check this out. This whole fridge is held up here just by this plug.
What's surprising is that the film was directed by Penelope Spheris, who made the brilliant Wayne's World and then somehow lost her way very badly. Her next film was The Beverly Hillbillies, which was bad but not awful. Black Sheep is awful.
I have a confession to make. This is the first movie that I have ever walked out on in a theater in 26 years.
I envy you. I envy you.
I cut out after 20 minutes to go. I pretended like I had to go to the bathroom, so the people, you know, and I came back in again, so they think I went to the bathroom, and then I went out again. I was trying to fake out, in case people, because we should never do this. I left
It's okay to do it if you say you did it.
I did, that's why I have to say it. I did it with $1 Million Duck in 1969.
Yeah.
This stunk.
Yes.
Chris Farley is not funny.
No.
I knew John Belushi. I knew John Candy. He's no John Belushi or John Candy. No. He's a bad actor.
Yeah, but on the other hand, he doesn't have a chance with this script, which is totally...
I have never seen him be funny with any script.
Okay, well, maybe
He just runs around, screams, and rolls on the ground like a fat man.
This movie is very, very bad.
Terrible. Coming up next, a bunch of immature young men and their fixation on beautiful girls.
You're gonna end up 80 years old, drooling in some nursing home, then you're gonna decide it's time to settle down, get married, have kids? What, are you gonna find a cheerleader? Implants, collagen, plastic, cap teeth, the fat sucked out, the hair extended, the nose fixed. These are not real women, all right? They're beauty freaks. And they make all us normal women, with our wrinkles, our puckered boobs, hi, Bob, our cellulite, feel somehow inadequate.
Rosie O'Donnell lays out the problem for the Generation X men in Beautiful Girls, a movie very much about the gulf that looms between men and women as long as guys are chasing the fantasies of, say, the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Here, Michael Rappaport, one of the guys in a group of friends, explains his fixation with supermodels to Timothy Hutton, who's back in town for their high school reunion.
A beautiful girl can make you dizzy, like you've been drinking Jack and Coke all morning. She can make you feel high, full of single greatest commodity known to man, promise. The promise of a better day.
Naturally, the guys are absolutely struck dumb when a woman of model proportions, played by Uma Thurman, walks into their neighborhood bar.
What is that?
That is unbelievable. Stink, who's the vixen?
It's my cousin. She's visiting from Chicago.
This movie is very much about how men and women avoid meaningful relationships and get distracted by dead-end affairs like this one between a married Lauren Holly and her old high school sweetheart, played by Matt Dillon.
Come on. You can slip into something more comfortable.
Like what?
Like me?
But the most interesting female character in this movie is not a woman. She's a 13-year-old girl who is the next-door neighbor to Hutton. And she's played in a career-making performance by an actress, certainly to watch, Natalie Portman.
It's like the Wizard of Oz, William. The whole time it was right in your own backyard.
What do you mean?
You. Me and you.
Really?
Yeah, you don't think?
Well, we have a little age problem.
I know, we're star-crossed as Romeo and Juliet. It's tragedy of Elizabethan proportions.
You know, as much as I like parts of this picture, I wish the whole movie, Beautiful Girls, had been about those two characters. But in terms of story construction, this is a feature-length episode of sort of the hit TV show Friends. It was written by a man, Scott Rosenberg, and I think he does a real good job of criticizing the men in this film, challenging them to grow up. There's an awkward scene for every moment of truth in Beautiful Girls, but on balance, I did like it.
I liked it too, and I liked Rosenberg's screenplay. He also wrote Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, and I feel that that movie, for me at least, was a little over the top in terms of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Here, he's right on target, especially in that Rosie O'Donnell scene, which sets up everything in the movie.
She lays it right out.
These guys have wonderful women right there in their lives, and they cannot accept them because they're after supermodels or penthouse pets or some kind of an idealized vision of some impossible dream that they're never going to achieve, and as a result, they're miserable, and that's what the movie is about, and it's very funny and very true.
And how about this Natalie Portman?
Oh, now remember her, she was in The Professional.
Okay, but I want to tell you that, you know, Jodie Foster, when she burst on the screen with Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, I think that was really the role where you said,
wow, and you're attracted to the intelligence.
She's terrific.
When we come back, the backstage story of some poverty-stricken British actors trying to put on a play in A Midwinter's Tale.
If that girl makes it to the first night without a serious accident, I'll be amazed.
I'd like to talk a little bit about Hamlet. I see it as a very dark play.
I see it as a very long play, darling. Sally says it's going to appear, we hope.
Yes, no, I've got a lot of cuts, but what I'd like to do for the benefit of this read-through is to read the whole thing.
Oh, great. We've only got 10 days rehearsal, but let's spend 15 hours reading the whole bloody thing on day one.
A group of down-and-out British actors gather to put on a Christmas production of Hamlet in that scene from Kenneth Branagh's new film, A Midwinter's Tale. It's the backstage story of actors who have not professionally been successful, who all have their own hard luck stories, but who love the theater and are willing to work for almost nothing. What they don't like so much is that their room and board consists of communal meals and shared quarters in the old church where they're doing the play. Michael Maloney plays the actor, director, producer who has pulled this troupe all together, and he introduces Celia Emery as the production designer who will turn the church into Hamlet's castle.
You see, we must make the design all about space. People in space. Things in space. Women in space. Men in space.
So it's sort of a spaceman.
In a sense?
One of her ideas involves smoke, a lot of smoke.
It's just that we spent all morning on this. We haven't got beyond who's there. That's a question I fear many of the audience will be asking if the smoke's this thick.
Crisis occurs when the director suddenly gets a job offer from Hollywood for big bucks. Joan Collins plays his agent.
Now you get more up front but no back end, and I'm going to fight for a cut of the merchandising. Of course, we can't hold them to ransom if the first picture's a monster hit, but we do get 3 years' money and 6 months a year employment guaranteed in a concept that could be Star Wars all over again.
There are a few things that actors like better than sharing stories about their miserable working conditions on poverty-stricken fringe productions, and A Midwinter's Tale plays like a lot of those stories all rolled up together. It's sort of a slight little movie because none of the characters are really developed to the degree that we care deeply about them. It's more about the idea of a threadbare troupe than about any individual member. But it's an exercise in backstage lore and an evocation of the romance of even the most humble stage production. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, and I guess I'm a sucker for any of these backstage theatrical troupe stories. I liked A Man of No Importance with Albert Finney and his troupe, a more serious picture, and also Bullets Over Broadway by Woody Allen. I guess because I know that actors are having so much fun playing this stuff, because it all, as you said, comes out of their background. They've all had these stories, and that fun is always transmitted through the screen to me.
When we return, a movie about a remarkable woman and her equally remarkable family, Antonia's Line, is next.
The Century Plaza, offering the finest in luxury, service, and Southern California style, adjacent to Beverly Hills on LA's fashionable West Side. The Century Plaza Hotel and Tower, a Westin hotel.
Our next film is something special from the Netherlands. It's called Antonia's Line. It's the official Dutch entry this year for Best Foreign Language Film, and I think it deserves serious consideration. A magical folk tale of sorts. It begins right after World War II as a powerful woman returns to her farming village to raise her daughter on her own. Antonia, played memorably by Vilecki van Amelroy, thinks she doesn't need a man in her life, but one comes calling nonetheless. Jan de Cler plays the widowed farmer known as Bas.
U mag van tijd tot tijd langskomen, want er zijn dingen te doen in het huis die wij zelf niet kunnen. U zou me zeer verplichten als u ons daarbij behulpzaam zou willen zijn.
En wat krijg ik daarvoor in ruil?
Een bak koffie, eieren, groenten.
Dat heb ik zelf allemaal. Goed. Ik zie wel.
Antonia's line is harsh on the churchmen in the town. This is a film that prefers people to institutions, as the local pastor rants against Antonia's independence and the overt sexuality of her daughter Danielle, played by Els Dottermans.
Het rijk der Joden kwam ten val door de vervloekte Jezebel en haar verdoemde dochter.
Antonia's line, written and directed by Marlene Goris, is the kind of colorful, mythic story that Hollywood never makes these days. A film not with its eye on the box office, but rather on the spirit that helped rebuild a nation after war. Antonia's line is a very good entertainment.
Boy, it sure is. I really felt, as this movie went along, that I was getting to know the people in this village. I knew that if you walk down the street and turn the corner, you'd find Crooked Finger, who was the scholar, or you'd find one of the other characters, and it was almost like Dutch magic realism. It was almost like one of those South American films in which the way that these wonderful people come in to this extended family, and the table where they have their communal meals gets longer and longer as they keep adopting strays, and children come back to the fold and so forth, was just wonderful.
Now look at the sensibility that makes a film like this. This is a film that would be rejected in Hollywood because, will people get it, that these characters are kind of strange and weird, as opposed to embracing folk tales, colorfulness. I just wish somehow, I wish we could transport the mentality that makes a picture like that out to Hollywood.
One of the good things about the Academy Awards is that if a movie like this wins an Oscar, then people will sample it and they will find a very good picture. When we come back, a salute to Gene Kelly, who died last week, but for movie lovers, will always be Singing in the Rain.
Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face.
Siskel and Ebert's Video Pick of the Week, brought to you by Orville Redenbacher's Gourmet Popping Corn, the best part of the movies.
Two men transformed the art of dancing in the movies. One of them was Fred Astaire, and the other was Gene Kelly, who died last week at the age of 83. Because they were in a class by themselves, they were often compared, and the verdict was Astaire had more grace and a magical aura, and Kelly was more realistic. When he danced, it was like a real guy had suddenly been possessed with rhythm. Here is the great scene for which Kelly will always be remembered. It's from Singin' in the Rain, made in 1952, which many people feel is the greatest screen musical of all time. Was a gifted athlete, and he used that ability in Vincent Minnelli's The Pirate, made in 1948, and co-starring Judy Garland.
Don't you dare take another step across that wire. Don't you dare!
Manuela, you don't mean that.
Kelly was the choreographer on most of his dance films, and he pioneered the idea of an extended ballet at the end of a film, which cut loose from the storyline and floated free as a fantasy. Here's part of the famous 17-minute dance sequence at the end of An American in Paris, which won the Oscar as Best Picture of 1951. His partner here is Leslie Caron. Gene Kelly was the greatest star of the golden age of MGM musicals, which began about 1945 and ended about 10 years later. During that magical decade, one Technicolor masterpiece after another came from the studio, and Kelly was at the center of the best of them. Later, when his dancing days were winding down, he became a director and had some hits, including Barbra Streisand's Hello, Dolly, but he will always be remembered as a dancer and never be forgotten for Singing in the Rain. Okay, now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed this week. Two thumbs down. Gene's was a little slow going down, but it came down all right for Broken Arrow, the big-budget thriller about terrorists who steal a nuclear bomb. Two big thumbs down, very big thumbs, way down for Black Sheep, a movie which is very much in the running for worst film of the year. Gene walked out. I wish I had. Two thumbs up, though, for Beautiful Girls, the bittersweet tale of men whose search for the perfect woman destroys their relationships. We especially like Natalie Portman as the kid next door. Two thumbs up for the backstage theatrical lore and Kenneth Branagh's A Midwinter's Tale, with a troupe of beleaguered actors trying to stage Hamlet on Christmas Eve. And finally, two thumbs up for Antonia's Line, a very special film from Holland about a strong, independent woman and the 4 generations of her extended family. So, Antonia's Line, A Midwinter's Tale, and Beautiful Girls.
That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including City Hall, starring Al Pacino, John Cusack, and Bridget Fonda, in a thriller about murder and corruption in New York City.
Got a shootout in Williamsburg. Yeah, there's 2 deaths, and they're connected, and that's all I know.
And that's all I want to know. And also, Happy Gilmore, starring Adam Sandler as a failed hockey player who becomes the celebrated bad boy of the professional golf circuit.
The price is wrong, Bob.
That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.